Alrighty, hey everyone. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day out there today. Sorry for the haven't been able to stream the last few days. This computer's been kicking my butt. It actually messed up this morning, but I figured, Monday's here. Let's get going with Bitcoin, if you will. But anyway, I do have a new computer coming out pretty soon, so hopefully you guys will give me some time for all that. It's just waiting for those damn GPUs that are going to be taking a minute. However, on brighter news here, we do have Bitcoin coming back up. I think we topped out at about, what price did we come up to here today? Around 88,765, which is pretty good. We've come back down about $1,000 since then, but I still think Bitcoin's in an okay spot. We'll be going over the technicals here, going over some other tokens that might be on the move here for better or worse, and then just kind of going over some news for the day. Then if you guys have any questions at the end, we can kind of wrap it up with being chill, relaxing a little bit, and just talking about some of the good stuff out there. I made the mistake of wearing a sweatshirt right now while my house is like hot for some reason, but I opened up my window, so if you guys hear birds chirping and stuff like that, it's just good old-fashioned nature. And hey, 88 Chromed, I'm happy to see you back. So let's kick this off here, guys, with just what's happening with Bitcoin, because, wow, I was kind of surprised by all this. I thought Bitcoin might actually have a breakdown here over the weekend, but we actually managed to pop back up. As you guys know, I have two different types of longs open right now. I have one where I'm hoping to hold it for about 2 months. At this point, it's going to be about a month and a half left. And then I have another long open that I opened up last week, and that one is doing well, but my price target for that one is $90,000. I am hoping that we hit $90,000, but my concern is right now, for those of you guys who hopped on board that trade with me, you guys can see the 50-day moving average right here, just to zoom in a little bit. It's around 90,200, so as it kind of creeps down tomorrow, it may be at 90,045, and the day after maybe around 89,800. So just be aware of that. That resistance level is moving down bit by bit. But the fact that we do see Bitcoin moving up despite all the news that we've been seeing over the past few days, I actually think is a very good thing here. I will say, even though Bitcoin is bullish in the short term, this trend line isn't going to be right just because of what's happening on the daily charts. MACD, although bearish, although the stochastic is bearish, although RSI is bearish, the MACD is looking just a little bit better this week, which is kind of nice, which makes me believe we might have one good week here where maybe we can push back up to $95,000. That'd be the 20-week moving average. We don't typically have this move up too much. You can see the last time we broke above, we actually managed to break right back above it. Back over here, and we broke down below it. We managed to get right back above it pretty soon. So it's not the biggest level of resistance in the world historically for us during this cycle. But because, again, of all the tariffs and what's happening in about like a week and a half or so with the reciprocal tariffs, I am just a little bit more spooked about how long I want to hold some of these positions. I already have my long-term stuff, but I haven't really been doing much with that. As you guys know, I've just been kind of like being patient and waiting and doing a little bit more dollar cost averaging, and the dollar cost averaging is working at okay, I would say. And hey, Lisa, happy to see you back. I'm going to be streaming as long as this computer lets me today, because it's been kind of a brutal show with this thing. But overall, we do see momentum shifting very, very slowly. This doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to be going sky high all of a sudden week after week after week, but maybe in about a month or so, and by that I just mean like sometime maybe in 3 weeks, maybe 4, we could actually see Bitcoin have the momentum showing us some really strong moves. And when I see those types of situations, it just means that I'm happy to be dollar cost averaging. I don't think you guys have to try to time some big move. For those of you guys that wanted to time some moves with me, we bought over the last couple weeks, and now we're just starting to see some good returns. We saw a little bit last Wednesday. It came right back down afterwards. So it's not been peachy so far, but that's the way it's been going. Now, as far as everything else, though, I just want you guys to see over the last 7 days, you guys can see Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, BNB. A lot of stuff is moving, I would say, pretty well. Now, last 30 days, you can see everything is pretty bad right now, but at least as far as a little bit of a breather that we're looking at right now, Bitcoin's up around 4%, Ethereum is up almost 8%, XRP's up around 4%, Solana's up around 10%, Dogecoin's up around 5%, ADA is only up around 2%, which is kind of interesting, 1.5%, and then Tron is up 3.5%. So that those top 10 that we typically would look at, they're looking okay right now. I wish we had better news out there, to be honest, because when I was looking at the news of the day, all the good news was basically just saying, hey, stocks aren't falling, crypto isn't falling. That's the good news. Not really anything else besides that, because when I pointed to a lot of this stuff earlier, well, let's say you guys go on CNBC.com, you see that the stock market also had a fantastic day after bleeding week after week after week. We're starting to see a little bit more of a rebound here, and that's a very good thing. But Trump pledges auto, pharma tariffs in near future, sowing more trade confusion, right? So you're starting to see people freak out again about this maybe a little bit more, but it's not having the same effect at this point, right? So I would say that's pretty good, because we had this news today and nothing really happened. There was some news about Trump and with auto tariffs and stuff like that, but all we know for the most part is everything kind of kicks off on April 2nd. So maybe April will be more of a maybe not like a bearish month, maybe something more of a very volatile sideways month. I think that might be the best way to go from it, right? So we'll be paying attention to that bit by bit here. I wish there was more news to talk about today, but I did have some videos I wanted to talk to you guys about. And man, this was actually probably some of the craziest stuff. I haven't been watching this Tesla stuff going back and forth with Elon and people like damaging Teslas around the country. But I do know that there are lots of Teslas out here in Seattle, and we are a very progressive state, very progressive city. So I was shocked with one of my friends telling me, yeah, somebody tried to key his Tesla, but like it gave like a little flash warning. I guess like the lights lit up and stuff when he got too close to it, and then he just kind of backed away and kind of left. Which I was like, whoa, that is pretty interesting right there. So the FBI is launching a Tesla threats task force, and basically they're saying this is domestic terrorism, which, I mean, to a certain degree, I do agree with. No matter what car you guys have, whether it's Hyundai, with their stuff happening right now, Tesla, BMW, or if it's a fancy car versus a cheap car, I don't think anybody should be able to key your car, set your car on fire, and that's absolutely insane. So I do applaud the FBI for launching this task force to kind of go after these people. And personally, I do think the book should be thrown at them. Don't be messing with other people's cars. I mean, people have to work real lousy hours, real hard jobs to get, to be able to afford stuff like this. Afford anything, really, right? So, keep your property and protect your property, I guess you would say. That's what FBI is going for. Man, but yeah. So, I mean, you can see this car is just set on fire. It's a rough time to be a Tesla owner. I probably would not be driving it out too much here. But even with all this, Tesla actually had a positive day today, which is pretty interesting. Now, I would say we talked about some of the news going on as far as pharma tariffs, auto tariffs, and things like that happening in the future. This is one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting. Trump says countries that purchase oil from Venezuela will pay 25% tariffs on any trade with the United States of America. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I thought this was kind of weird. Because I know we had been like negotiating with them for a while, but it seems like our negotiations might have hit something more of a stalemate. And with this, I don't know which countries are actually buying oil from Venezuela. So how is that going to actually impact all the countries in Latin America? Because that may make America just pick another fight. And I don't want America to pick another fight when it comes to a tariff war or a trade war. I want us to focus on China if we're going to focus on China, focus on Canada if we're going to focus on Canada. Right now, Mexico and Trump seem to be chill. So that's kind of good news for us, I would say. And then if Trump wants to go against the EU, he can go against the EU. But I think it's better if he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of trying to go for the whole world at once. I just don't think that's a winning strategy right now. And the tariffs, of course, it is going to be changing up things, regardless if you guys like or hate them. It seems like they're going to be coming in and things are going to be changing up a little bit, and the country will be making some money off of this. That's remains to be seen, but I think they probably will. But I am curious about you guys' thoughts about that type of stuff. Politics aside, Teslas are being recalled and not produced right now. Too many bumpers held on, give us glue flying off. Wait, bumpers held on by glue flying off? That's absolutely insane right there, right? So again, if you want to target Tesla, I would say something like that. I think that's much more of a reasonable reaction, right? But yeah, don't go keying a Tesla. Don't go what would you say throwing firebombs at Tesla. That's absolutely insane. If you want, like, for me, you know what I've been feeling the hype for? Those new BYD cars. I think that's what it's called, BYD. Those cars look absolutely amazing. The tech in those cars is absolutely amazing. The price of those cars is absolutely amazing. I really hope we can get them over here in America. I don't think the Elon Trump alliance will allow those Chinese cars over here, but oh my God, I just want a cheap vehicle where I can buy them and everything is good. I don't like paying, I don't like buying overpriced vehicles in the United States, right? Nobody wants to do that. If there's a cheaper alternative around the country or around the world, excuse me, let that free market work. Let me buy something cheap over there, and maybe that'll make Tesla bring their prices down, Ford bring their prices down, and so forth. And I'd be very happy with that. I know the issue with that is that if they do make them cheaper, they have to make them in like Mexico and stuff like that, and American workers lose their job. So there is a good give and take with that. But man, I think people need to start getting some cheaper stuff out there. Even Walmart isn't cheap anymore. Even the Dollar Tree isn't cheap anymore. Now, I haven't been inside of a Dollar Tree in a few years, but I remember maybe 4 years ago I went inside one and it was no longer $1. So I think times are changing and people just kind of want to get back to the way it used to be. A little nostalgia. All right, so what I'm going to do very fast is move this over here so I can kind of see what's going on. I wanted to watch a couple of these videos with you guys. This is just going to be some news that we saw from CNBC today. This one is basically about the Venezuelan oil. This one, again, it's not like it's some crazy emergency that everybody has to worry about. But I am curious to see, like, how does this work? How are they going to go after these countries that buy Venezuelan oil? Because Venezuelan oil isn't as pure as our oil, sure, but I don't think they should be penalized for it, right? I think it's like a short-term pain thing for Venezuela. So let's listen into this one. It's about 7 minutes long. We'll only listen to a few minutes of it.
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. Let's get over to Eamon Javers. He's at the White House. He's got some breaking news for us. Eamon.
David, that's right. The White House just posting on social media here just a short time ago that the president is going to impose what they're calling secondary sanctions on Venezuela, secondary tariffs, I should say, on Venezuela, using the tariffs as if they are a sanction. In this case, the president posting on social media, any country that purchases oil and gas from Venezuela will be forced to pay a tariff of 25% to the United States on any trade they do with our country. All documentation will be signed and registered, and the tariff will take place on April 2nd. So what the president is saying,
again, April 2nd is that big doomsday day. So because Bitcoin is still bearish, right, we have to see how we kind of survive over here, which again is just like a couple weeks or so. But that could be the tip of the trend line here, and then Bitcoin just starts to slam back down. So this is why I'm reminding you guys, if you guys took any of the trades with me over the last couple weeks, you guys have just been buying and holding and kind of waiting, you can start to scale out now in profit and be okay if the market does take a dip over the next few weeks. If you guys wanted to do that, just be forewarned right now. We haven't had that breakout yet. Momentum on the weekly chart is not where we want it to be to have that breakout up to $103,000. We're just not there yet, but it's going to be a little bit more testy here, okay?
Here, David, is that because of immigration and legal concerns he has with Venezuela and the way they're negotiating with the United States, any country that does business with Venezuela will see that 25% tariff kick in on April the 2nd. All of this will be papered and legaled on that date, he says. That's an innovative use of the tariff power, to say the least. I have not seen that before. I have to go back and check sort of what the precedents are for that. But that raises an immediate question for anybody who is doing business with Venezuelan oil. Do they run the risk of getting afoul of U.S. tariffs if they continue to conduct that trade? So a fascinating one here at the White House this morning, David.
China is a big buyer of Venezuelan oil, and so this sets up maybe a more confrontation with China, especially as, you know, Western sanctions have hit Venezuela. They've sold even more to China.
That's a great point. And the question I would have immediately is the president's 25% that he's talking about here in addition to the tariffs that he's already announced on China? So if you're China, are you talking about 45, 50% tariffs on Chinese products? Because what the president says in this social media post is that 25% trade secondary tariff will go into place on all trade that country does with the United States. So that is a huge ramification.
All right, so they're saying all this. I think we've been watching Trump enough to understand he will not go forward with 25% tariffs on China. I think what he'll do is he'll give them an exemption of some type, because a lot of the people that have businesses over in China just don't want to deal with the hassle of the reciprocal tariffs that would follow from that, right? Especially as Trump is going after Canada, the EU, and so forth. I think this is targeted more towards Latin American countries nearby to Venezuela, and not necessarily China. China is a big one, I grant you, but I just don't think it's what he's really targeting at this point.
We'll see if we can get the White House to give us any more clarity on exactly what the intent here is. But he's saying that that's going to go into effect on April 2nd. Everything here at this White House subject to negotiation and subject to change without notice. But this is
exactly.
A big one this morning.
Well, Eamon, something else I know you've been covering as well as I have also is this continuing fight, if you want to call it that, between the White House and, of course, much of the legal industry. Certainly been leaving some law firms scrambling to avoid being what might be yet another target. What is the latest? I know we got a new order, didn't we, on Friday night from the president?
Yeah, we did, David. And that order suggests that the United States government is going to take action against any law firm that imposes any kind of what they're calling frivolous action against the U.S. government. Now, who's gets to decide what's frivolous or not is the open question here. And you see this administration now really battling it out with big law. And the fundamental principle that's at stake here is whether or not clients will have the right to choose their own lawyers and whether law firms will have the right to choose their own clients. I talked to the White House this morning. They say these are their goals. They want to end weaponization that was perpetrated against the president. They say they're trying to create a fair and level playing field in the legal profession. And they also say they're trying to make sure that firms are not.
Okay, that stuff not as important, to be honest, but if you guys care about the law stuff, feel free to watch the rest of the video on your own time. I don't really care too much about the law stuff. The next video we got up is another CNBC video, and basically it's talking about how President Trump doesn't seem like he's ready to back off with any of these tariffs, which again brings me a little bit more concerned about what happens to Bitcoin as we kind of reach up here to the 90,000 level over the next few days. What exactly happens? Do we break out? Do we continue coming back down? What exactly is going to happen from there?
China. Let's bring back Derek Scissors, Asia economist at the American Enterprise Institute. Derek, the last couple times we talked, it was more about how the president had gone much tougher on Mexico and Canada than maybe people originally had assumed, maybe a little softer on China. Where do you think things stand now?
Well, I'm sure wherever they stand now, they'll be different in 3 days, but I'll give it a shot. We get these sector announcements because there had been rumors that there wouldn't be any announcements on tariffs on sectors. I don't think the president is ready to back off on pretty much anyone yet. I think we're still in.
I am curious who would be the first person he really backs off from. I think we already have the answer because he's backed off from Mexico, but I am curious what maybe the next one would be.
And try to pressure everyone. Try to make a big announcement on April 2nd, back it up with these sector announcements that you guys reported earlier, and get people to make their best deal. And the catch with China is among the countries that can make a good deal. They can offer the U.S. a good deal. They have the government capacity to do that, but they may not want to. There are some countries that don't have the capacity. There's some countries that want to. China has the capacity. They may not want to make a deal. So I think everybody's getting pressure, and the next step is, what do the Chinese want out of this?
What do they want?
I don't think they're as sensitive to U.S. pressure as we often see. Xi Jinping has done a lot of things to his own economy by himself that have been harmful. So I don't think the U.S. taking action against him is that much of a worry. I don't think he cares that much about consumption.
I do think it is important as we kind of head into this trade war with China. China is kind of limping right now. Their economy is not that great at the moment. But, Xi Jinping doesn't have to worry about elections in a couple of years, like the way that Trump would, the way that Republicans would. So again, I do think these types of leaders like a Russia, Putin, or a Xi Jinping, like what do you call them? I guess the world calls them authoritarian, but basically they have a grip on their country. They have enough support in the country so they can kind of last for decades. They can kind of outlast the United States' willpower to do certain things, and it allows them to do a little bit more of long-term planning for better or worse, right? But I am curious to see how this plays out with China.
Or prosperity.
Oh, and also, hey Steve, man, it's going well. This computer is still freaking me out every day, but in about 3 weeks to 4 weeks, I'll probably have a new computer if the place I bought it from keeps its word. So wish me luck.
So normal, conventional U.S. pressure doesn't seem to matter. The Chinese Communist Party, of course, loves stability, and now
there you go. Chinese unemployment right there. You see that spike right there? It's not looking good. So they are not in a good position right now.
They have a high emphasis on technological advance. So if we don't see hard U.S. export controls, but we do see high tariffs, I think Xi Jinping can live with that. There are certain U.S. actions that matter more than others. It's not about conventional economic growth. It's about the supply chain and technology. China and the U.S. might make a deal, but instead of a grand bargain where everybody cooperates, they make a grand bargain not to touch each other's most sensitive areas.
So if the most important thing for them is leading-edge NVIDIA chips, for instance, should the U.S. allow them to have access to that, or should we worry or not trust them or act suspicious towards them? And how does Taiwan factor into all of this in the background? I mean, do you think it's going to remain important to this administration to defend Taiwan at all costs?
I definitely don't think it's going to remain important to this administration. President Trump is very deliberately cagey when you ask him about Taiwan. Meanwhile, President Biden, who was cagey about a lot of things, was very definitive about Taiwan. There's been a very clear shift in the tone of U.S. policy where President Trump doesn't want a war. He doesn't want China attacking Taiwan. That would upset him, but I don't think he will defend Taiwan. As a result, the U.S. is moving and should move towards more chip independence. The Chinese are doing the same thing. And so, you've got to decide, are we in a competition with China or are we friends? If we're friends, we
No, we're in a competition with China. I think that's the better way to think about all that type of stuff, right? The last video here is just from Fun Stretch Tom Lee. He's usually a pretty positive guy. This was 3 days ago, so this is baby back on Friday, I would suppose. But again, he says we could have a positive case for this scenario for tariffs, which is going to be pretty good. And hey, I'm happy to see you guys back. Guys, this is my first stream back in a minute since kind of tweaking with my computer a little bit more. Like the fact that it's running right now is absolutely fantastic. But if I'm like a little bit more stuttery or jittery stuff like that, it's just because I haven't been able to talk with you guys for a minute, which has been absolutely horrible on my part, so I apologize for that. But we're almost done with the videos, and we can kind of chill here and talk for a little bit. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to go over it. My hope is that tomorrow what I'll be able to do is just start streaming around like maybe 9 o'clock perhaps, and then just stream all the way through 1. And then I have to go up to Seattle after that for a little bit. And then, but maybe I can stream for 3 to 4 hours. Not the studio way where I just kind of like break down everything like that, but kind of just chill where I do my little spiel for a little bit, talking about my personal thoughts that you guys care about, and then we just kind of chill going over different stuff, all while kind of looking at the charts. It's more chart based than just like going over anything, but kind of going over news and things like that, which I think will be pretty fun.
Now let's bring in FundStrat's managing partner and head of research, Tom Lee, a CNBC contributor. It's good to have you. What do you make of this report? I mean, part of the uncertainty of all of this has been the, iron fist, maybe olive branch. Back to the iron fist, maybe an olive branch. What do you make of it?
Well, I think markets should interpret it positively because I think when we talk to our clients, many are viewing tariffs as punitive, potentially protectionist, and driving several economies into recession. This sounds like that we could actually have a positive case scenario with these tariffs, one that's either mutually agreed upon or if it's reciprocal, but maybe a good deal for businesses. And I think it would set the stage for a much bigger recovery rally than we expect.
Afterwards, right?
Yes,
I mean,
after.
The problem is the paralysis, if you will, between now and then. Like, what are we supposed to do over the next 10 days?
I mean, that's the dilemma, right? Because we still have 8 trading days till April 2nd. Most investors are getting just nauseous from the volatility, so they want to throw in the towel. But we also know that markets will bottom or have historically bottomed before the event actually happens. The best example is the Cuban Missile Crisis. In 1962, that was a 12-day crisis. The stock market bottomed 7 days into that crisis. recovered 2/3 of the losses before the resolution. So I think that's a decent template for today.
What about the economy? I mean, listen to Nike, FedEx, put that on top of what we've already heard. Are you concerned about where the economy's going?
I mean, it's been pretty shocking how quickly sentiment deteriorated. I can understand for consumers because the president's very divisive, but for CEOs, that's been a shock. You know, CEO confidence has fallen, and they've kind of been sitting on their hands. So we know there's an impulse of a growth shock underway. But if this is something that doesn't last months, then it's very temporary.
I mean, it depends, you know, to what degree consumers remain skittish.
I think people are going to remain skittish for a minute, not just because of tariffs, but just the way the economy is kind of right now, and how everybody's kind of spooked by all this stuff going on in the world, where like Europe is having issues, America's having issues, China's having issues. Nobody's really purely in that prosper zone just right now, and it kind of sucks, right?
CEOs are paralyzed in their own right because they can't really make any moves because they're not sure what's going to happen, and ultimately whether a growth scare spirals into something else, which Jeffrey Gundlach gave me his view yesterday right here on Closing Bell. Listen.
I do think the chance of recession is higher than most people believe. I actually think it's higher than 50% coming in the next few quarters.
50, 60%? I mean, if he's right, what does that mean for the stock market?
Well,
Way too expensive.
Well, the S&P had a 10% drawdown. That's already priced 40% chance of a recession. I'd say the markets aren't agreeing necessarily with his view because China, Europe, Canada, Mexico have been massively outperforming the U.S. since February 18th. Those economies should be tumbling into recession if we have punitive tariffs. So I think markets are actually more paralyzed than necessarily pessimistic. And
I'm sorry, finish your thought.
But because the market is the economy, I think to the extent that stocks rebound sharply after April 2, if they do, I think it really staves off future economic
Is the market
weakness.
the real economy?
I think it's these days, to me, I think it's a really good snapshot of actual sentiment and actually even CEO decisions. Because as you know, when stocks fall, companies lose confidence. And as stocks recover, CEOs gain confidence.
I mean, that is an interesting way of thinking about it right now. But again, we still have this thing where everybody's kind of freaking out, worrying, and we have to wait a few more days. So as we kind of pay attention to everything going on right now, let me hop out of this one. Let's go back over here. There we go. Remember, April 2nd is right there. Yep. We have a little bit of time before either shit hits the fan or maybe it's a great thing. We don't really know, but what we do know is there's probably going to be a lot of volatility around that time. And if you kind of zoom in here a little bit more, you may see a death cross between the 50 and the 200 kind of around this time, which could be interesting. And by that, I don't just mean it's kind of a bearish trend here on the daily. I would say typically when we start playing around with all the moving averages being in a single spot, you typically see Bitcoin's volatility get real crazy because all of those levels are usually levels of support and resistance. So, for example here, last time we saw them all kind of group up over here, you can see how there just was a lot of volatility. Even some levels of support and resistance through here as well. Coming again, a lot of volatility through here. Back up a little bit more. Again, they don't really come into contact too much. Right here, a lot of volatility through here. And people were freaking out a little bit, right? And again, maybe back over here a little bit more volatility. You can kind of see they were close. This thing was just so volatile back then because we were still popping off the FTX stuff. There we go. A lot of volatility through there. A lot of volatility right afterwards, the death cross. Just a lot of volatility. So I just want you guys to be aware of that volatility, and which is why I'm telling you guys, if you guys did buy any of the stuff that we talked about last week or the week before, you are up right now. You have the ability to close out and take some profit. So just understand that, and it'll make your life a lot easier down the road if we do get rejected and start coming back down a little bit more, okay? So here's the 15-minute chart. A great day of moving up. Go over here to market sessions. As soon as the market opened up, nice little peak right here, coming back down afterwards. This is back on Sunday, so I guess it doesn't matter as much. But overall, we're still in a pretty good spot right now. It's just that there were some good movers here. For example, FOR. I don't know too much about this one. Form, I guess, ticker's 4, I guess. Yeah, nah. That's up 20%. Barra chain is up 18. Crow is up 16. SPX 6900 is up 13. So we are seeing some rebounds here. I don't think there's been any real big news on any of these. It's just more of a rebound saying, wow, here we go. Let's start buying some stuff up. And these particular coins do have some strong communities, except for Form. I haven't really heard much about Form here. But even Render's up 9%, Pepe's up 8, Stacks is up 8, AVAX is up 10. I like this. And even this thing like IP, which we've been looking at the last few weeks, that one's still up around 7% here. Or last 30 days is actually up 34%. Only a few things are really up over the last 30 days. These are things like Form, Fartcoin, IP, Crow, Barra, Cake, Bitcoin Cash, Tether Gold, OKB, PaxG, and then we start to get into like 1%, 2% type of stuff. You know. All right, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. We're just going to be chilling here for the next few minutes. And hey, Noir, happy to see all of you guys here. I'm hoping to start streaming again normally here. I don't think I'm going to be on a set schedule like every day at a certain time just because of how my computer's messed up. And the kind of fear I have of it kind of like tumbling and getting kind of bad here, because what I was able to do is like, what would you say? Get the new computer on its way, and then we'll see what happens after that. If when it gets here, how it performs. But man, when I get this new computer here, guys, oh, it's gonna be absolutely fantastic. We're gonna be rocking and rolling. Oh, basically, I'll be able to stream for hours on end without having that anxiety in the back of my head. It'll be life changing, I tell you. All right, so let me back up here very fast. If you guys don't have any questions, just let me know, or I'll kind of peek over for the next few minutes. But I do want to see how everything else is doing. Let's go over here to the daily charts. Let's poke this out a little bit. Let's go over here to gold. How's gold been doing? Ooh, even gold's been stagnating a little bit here. And hey, Wilder, happy to see you, my man. Yeah, I apologize. I haven't been able to do as many streams as I've been wanting to lately. This computer being broken is just like... It's like trying to drive a car on a highway knowing that one of your tires could blow at any minute. And it's just been giving me a lot of anxiety, to the point where I'm actually taking anxiety medication right now to like have to deal with the stream. And it's not like it's that anxiety crazy. It's just that I overthink things and I just like need to like numb it out a little bit. But basically what I got is, if I can kind of show you guys, it's just here, I'll show you this very fast. I don't mind talking about this stuff. Shop our PCs. Basically, it's like this mountain one. See more details. Except for I got the new AMD Ryzen. I got the Tomahawk one. I got a 5080. I got 96 gigs of RAM. And I upgraded to 2 terabytes. No special cooling thing. I just wanted the basic one. And no special color things. So basically, this is kind of what I got, except for mine has a little bit different stuff in it because mine is going to cost, let me see if I can actually figure out how much mine's going to cost. I got an email about it a couple seconds ago or a couple of days ago. Let's see. What is it called when they send you the invoice? So mine's gonna cost around $5,400, so like an extra $1,400 on top of that. But yeah, so it shouldn't be too much of a hassle there. Mine has a little bit extra stuff, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Let me go back over here. But I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. It's been stressful, have to deal with everything else. But my thing is this. Maybe I should just buy it. Let's see. Yeah, the back order thing. Yeah, because I wonder if I should just buy, when they have it available, another GPU to see if it works with this computer. So I have like 2 computers. That'd be really nice. But I don't think they have the GPUs just yet, which is why I'm waiting like 3 weeks for all this type of stuff, right? Let me see back over here. Yeah, because let me see. Buy now. Base price, spec changes, shipping. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, the GPU is only an estimate. 1,000 for the RTX 57, 1,400 for the 5080, 2,800 for the 59. That's $800. That's $800 more than it's supposed to cost. Absolutely fucking insane. I don't like Nvidia too much right now, but yeah. But happy to see on the stream, Wilder. So gold's peaking up a little bit here, still doing okay. The Dow Jones is seeing a nice little reversal. If anything, this is in the process, like we talked about before, for a lower high. The weekly chart's still okay, still bearish here, seeing a little bit of bounce. SPY. I mean, it's trying to gap up, which is actually pretty nice here by the SPY. Russell 2000 has a little bit of a way to go to get those levels of resistance. Dollar index is peaking back up a little bit. We don't need this anymore for this one. How's the weekly chart look? Okay. It's still bearish, which I think is good news. To me, good news for Bitcoin. Unfortunately for us, oil is bouncing back up as well. I was hoping that oil might find a reason to crash. I forget the COVID drop here, but we really haven't been able to have a large drop so far. Maybe actually, let me add this over here. Yeah, there we go. Let's just kind of drag this out a little bit more. Oh, we're not going to wait all the way till August. I tell you that. I want to have a breakdown immediately, even if it means the economy looks a little bit more sour. So Ethereum's still coming down. You know, Ethereum didn't go back down to support. This is interesting here. We're kind of bouncing off a little bit before that. Although the daily Ethereum chart looks pretty brutal, to be honest. We once were at 4,100 and we went all the way down to 1,700. That is a massive swing. Yeah. I think Solana still has an opportunity here. Look at this. All right. Solana just broke out. Momentum is still there. The weekly chart's probably a little bit more bearish. But the Solana breakout is there for an opportunity for it to come back up towards 170 bucks. With some leverage, that might not be a horrible idea there. And you guys remember we talked about us hitting some of these order blocks here, which Ethereum didn't hit, but Solana did. Actually bounced off perfectly for some of you guys that were looking for a longer term hold. Ended up working out just nicely. Dogecoin bouncing off the 200, okay. Looking for a resistance level around 20 cents, which sucks because this was back up around 50 cents here for a while. Yeah, that's a pain in the butt. Oh, interesting. You guys know I'm only a temporary holder of the Trump token stuff, but this one is bottoming out a little bit. So if any of you guys wanted to take a YOLO position, this might be an opportunity for you. I guess if you didn't want to take this, you'd have 2 stop losses from around 1063 to around 957. I'd probably do something around $10 and kind of let it fly with maybe a 3 to 5x leverage and just let it sit and then see where it wants to go afterwards. But, you know, as I kind of pay attention to this one, it's burned people a lot because you can see these secondary rallies are not that great. It's maybe like, what, 1-2 days? 2 days max. And then we come crashing back down. So if you guys do buy this, you know, maybe don't hold for too long, or if you do want to hold longer, scale out as it goes up for that 1 or 2 days, and then have a trailing stop loss or just a hard stop loss that are lock in your profits so you don't risk losing too much of those gains that you had if it decides to dip back down instead of keep on going up day after day after day. If you're lucky, you'll be able to get some good money out of that one right there. Milani is still going down, of course. Whiff. All right. Anything coming up right now? Not really. MAGA's coming up a little bit right now. You can see a nice little pop. But this thing has come down so far from the last time we talked about it. We were talking about Fibonacci extensions, possibly getting back up here. And it hit some resistance. It broke out. Just was not able to continue moving. And the bearish MACD kicked off right there. And it just never came back. Never came back. There you go. Back over to the 15 very fast. I go right here. Just wanted to see if there was any news out there right now about Bitcoin or crypto in general. Signal, Hegseth, Atlantic, Kane, Double OT. Something's going on right now. But I guess let's go over here to Bitcoin. I hear BitBoy's having some issues again. Hopefully he gets the help he needs. If your man isn't obsessed with Bitcoin and plotting to overthrow the global monetary system, you deserve better. Oh, damn. Okay. Okay, I could see what he's talking about there. Go to school, find a job, pay off debt, climb the ladder, vacation for 2 weeks, pay off mortgage, die. Oh, that sucks. Your ex-girlfriend's on Bitcoin, it's $200K a year. Oh, yeah, we've seen this one before. If you get this meme, you're smarter than 99% of the world. Guess it's a meme? I don't know. There's many different ways of looking at this. Maybe we're not smarter than 99% of the world, though. Oh, this is interesting.
Sort of forward push by Hong Kong at the moment, a sign that trading and crypto could return to the mainland, which of course would be a huge boost for the market.
That's an interesting question. You know, Hong Kong is always the gateway to the Chinese mainland market, and Hong Kong is always used as the lab for experiments, either in economies or in new industries or new sectors. From what we run regulated exchange, regulated funds in Hong Kong. From our conversations with the regulators, I think in a way they are trying their best to use the one country, two systems as an experiment. If it's successful, I think there is the possibility the mainland China government will reconsider their stance towards the crypto and Web3 industry.
Do you think that's inevitable? Do you think the mainland government will definitely bring crypto back, or it's still a wait and see?
You know, for a government to have a clear message, it takes time. From what I know so far, our conversations with the mainland professionals and related sources, I think they are now looking at the market and see what's going on in other countries, what's happening in Web3 industries, and then they may come up with their response.
Okay, that wasn't as bullish as I was hoping for, but I still think it was pretty good there. And hey, Lisa, what do you think about buying one Ethereum at 2K long-term hold? Thank you. I think that'd be fine, but even right now, as you look at Ethereum, right? Ethereum's at $2,085. I might dollar cost average into that, or if you're thinking just purely long-term and you don't mind like minus 10%, plus 10%, I think it's good. You can always stake it if you want to. Staking is a little bit more difficult for me because I like having access to it quickly. But make sure you put it into a wallet which you know is safe, that it's not going to go anywhere. Maybe you could put it into a Coinbase wallet or a Robinhood wallet, wherever you feel comfortable. Or you can have like a Ledger Nano or something like that. But for long term, I always think it works out very well. For me, even though I typically buy when the market's kind of burning and crashing and things like that, kind of going into a really heavy crypto winter, I think right now it's still a good time to be buying up for the long term here. It's just that for the long term, again, if you really want to buy, which again is kind of like you really want to buy when everything is crashing and burning, you're going to have to wait for a while because, of course, Bitcoin on the long term here is still in this bullish monthly chart, right? It's when we get into this bearish, there you go, bearish monthly charts is when all the worst stuff happens. We're not really there right now, unfortunately, which means you might be able to buy Ethereum for the long term cheaper down the road, if that makes sense. But I don't know what long term necessarily means for you, so I think you got some time on that one. The way I'd play it is if I'm buying Ethereum right now, I'd make sure I have money for when the market really does have a larger crash down the road, right? So that's Bitcoin. This is Ethereum here. Ethereum, it's a little bit more difficult, I would say here. Yeah, with how this time frame is. But when we have those bearish MACDs like we see right now, give it some time. Give it some time. It doesn't usually flow with Bitcoin, which is why I brought up Bitcoin first. When Bitcoin has a bearish one, everything comes down, and it comes down very, very, very hard. So I think it's fine as long as you want to buy more, or you don't have to. But I think it'd be better if you bought some now than bought some when the market's completely crashing and burning. We just don't know when that is, though, because it's going to be a minute. Because, despite all the nasty stuff that's been happening to Bitcoin, I mean, we're still like $87,000, which isn't like a terrible thing at this point in time. It feels terrible because altcoins are down, but in reality, Bitcoin being down this low isn't that bad. And hey, Tyler, what about Pepe? Do you want me to check out? Just let me know, and I can take a peek for you. Let me go back over here to X until Tyler talks about what he wants to hear from about Pepe. Let's see. ETF spot 737 million Bitcoin. If Bitcoin hits 96,000 by the end of March, I'll give away 2,000 Bitcoin. All right. Shitcoiner, Bitcoiner. Just looks juicy. Okay, so I'll just pull it up for a second so you guys can look at it very fast. Here's the weekly chart. Broke down, it looks like a while ago. Managed to get close enough to the support, but I didn't really get too deep in there. There you go. MACD's cruising back along like a bunch of other stuff here. Daily charts been bullish for a while, actually, which has been pretty nice as we went from bearish to bullish, bullish, bullish. It's been a nice return. I had a big level of resistance right here, so if you guys are going to take the trade, just know it's going to be a level of resistance, and your next level of resistance is going to be around 901, possibly up here towards 968 if you're lucky. Just know there's some resistance heading up here, which means you could have a good opportunity for a pop if you guys aren't used to trading it. There we go. The Tucker Carlson. See, why do they have 2024 Bitcoin stuff on here? The algorithm on X is still sucks. And hey, Larry, lovely week. Rebought Tesla Bull ETF for 740 now at 1078. Waiting to see what happens between 290 and 310. So I told you I'm buying some more Tesla and some other assets here. I think later on this week or next week, I am going to be selling a lot of them off because I was only going to be holding them for a couple weeks. But the returns so far have justified buying when everything was really getting rough last week because, of course, it was really, really bad. Ooh, damn, that's good. I didn't know. What do you call? Bitcoin Live has music. I think it's the same type of template I have for them. But they got Kraken rolling on right now, which looks okay. Let's exit out there. Gary Cardone is talking about some stuff discussing Bitcoin in the macro environment. Not much stuff here, though. Let me see. I heard there was a big issue with the administration, say with Signal. Breaking in a sudden moment, Donald Trump admits he has no idea what his own administration is up to. Oh, that's not the one I was looking for. Yeah, here we go. This is possibly the most insane national security story in the last 50 years and includes a massive text chain between senior members of the Trump administration gaming out foreign policy and war plans on Signal, and they accidentally added a reporter to the group chat. right? That is absolutely insane. So I just want to see JD Vance at PHEX. If you think we should do it, let's do it. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Oh, Jesus. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here, and if there's any things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Damn, yeah. I mean, like, I just want the text messages. That's all I want. Let's see. You up? We're probably gaming tomorrow. Perfect. No, okay. I don't see anything really new right there for now. I see Bitcoin trying to make a little bit of a rebound, which is kind of nice to see. You bought some Nvidia Bull ETF as well, earning this week, I think. Must be talking about attacking Iran. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm not even looking at the story. I'm just so tired of all that type of stuff right now. No matter what, they're just gonna. It's just. If I go on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, you know, it's all going to be anti-Trump 24/7. If I go over to Fox News, it's going to be Trump can do no wrong 24/7. It's just too much for me right now, so I just kind of zone out of all of it. And I'm like, hey, there's elections in a couple years. If I feel different or whatever, I can vote differently then. But I'm just like, as long as outside still looks fine to me, as long as nothing crazy is going on, as long as prices don't go higher again, like with inflation we saw last couple of years, I think things are going to be just cozy for me. But again, it's, you know, it could be a lot crazier in the next couple of years, but we never know. Could never know. Let me see. Let's see. I'm looking at this computer case. I like it so much. This is the computer case I'm getting right here. Ooh, I cannot wait. And Windows 11, yeah. Although I wish I can get like the higher version of the 96 gigabytes. Well, 4 terabytes would be good. I got the 2 terabyte drive plus, yeah, but I never use a secondary drive for my computers. I think my computer has like a few terabytes, and then like it has an extra stick with a couple more terabytes, but I just never move things back and forth because it's just too much of an annoyance for me. Let's see. The market as a whole is cleaning itself up a little bit. I'm just looking on my screen right now. You guys can't see it, but I see a lot of green there, which is kind of nice. But let me back up here very fast. How's the 4 hour? The 4 hour is tilting a little bit, just so you guys can see. Doesn't mean everything's over. We usually just means a little bit more of a slowdown here. A little bit of a slowdown here. Yeah, a little bit. We could be looking at a little bit of a slowdown on the Bitcoin charts here. When I see the SPY and stuff like that, we still have a little bit more room to go, it looks like. Maybe even back up here towards the 584s for the SPY. But when I look at everything else, like we talk about NVIDIA and things like that, I think they have more room to run. Right? Oh, look at that. We talked about this last week. God, I fucking forgot about this, to be honest. But let me see what I was going to look at here. Tesla. Oh, yeah. Tesla's already managed to have a nice bounce off. There was a couple stairs we talked about here. I was going to buy more if Tesla came back down here below 200, but I just never did. Ran up until our first level of resistance, broke out. Now we're coming up to the second level of resistance, trying to break out until tomorrow. Yeah, if it goes back above 300 bucks, I might sell mine, to be honest, Larry. Yeah, I'd probably sell mine. Not my long-term Tesla, but the short-term Tesla I got over here. I might sell like 75% of it. I know it could possibly go up higher, but I don't know how to time it with some of the stuff going on with the the reciprocal tariffs hitting us on the April 2nd. I think that's going to be a little bit more of a doozy for us. And Tesla's usually one of my favorite things to do some, some bounce off trades with. Not day trading, because, oh god, the premiums are expensive on those options. Schlumberger, let's see what else I got right here. Meta. I mean, Meta is even gapping up a little bit today, which is nice. But again, right up into that 20-day moving average, and might be able to come up a little bit more. But geez, this even Facebook came down how much? 22%. Yowza. And Tesla's up 12% today. Tesla's just so volatile. When I see these moves, I'm just like, yeah, I've made a good return. I should probably sell some of this, right? But you're like in the double bull ETF, so you're probably even making more money than I am, or better returns than I am at least. How's Lowe's doing? Home Depot. I'm kind of ticked off about Home Depot. I like Home Depot. How's Google looking? Yeah, see, Google broke down, and it doesn't even react to it as well as I would hope it would. The way I would hope it would. The monthly chart. I guess the monthly chart's still holding. Disney still being Disney. I heard their Snow White movie did bad. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I don't like that type of stuff. And well, I don't like the typical movie Snow White, but I don't think I'd like it in CG form or whatever either. So that's my type of thing. There you go. All right, but okay, buddy, I'm going to call it a night right now. I'm going to go take Loki out to outside. I have been able to take him outside, actually, because I was going to stream this morning, but I had people in the trees cutting down parts of my trees and stuff like that, if that makes sense. I'll see you guys a little bit later. I will be streaming around 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow, probably until 12 or 1. Then I have to go up to Seattle for some work stuff. And I'll be making some content up there, actually, which is going to be pretty cool. And hey, Mo, happy to see my man. Right now, Bitcoin still looks good, I'll say. Again, if you guys bought with me last week when I was doing this, like what I called a very high-risk trade, you should feel comfortable scaling out over the next few days. Don't hold on too long just because we don't know what's going to happen with these tariffs, okay? And hey, Larry, first buy a week ago was 30%, and the second buy up 60% so far. Yeah, you're definitely in there. And hey, Mo, long story short, if you don't have time to watch it over again, things right now are better than I expected. I thought we were going to be breaking down over the weekend here, still like moving up, but just having that breakdown that would launch us higher. We never had that. We just kind of went up a little bit more right now. There is more tariff news here, and a lot of the video was actually just watching CNBC videos and going over some CNBC articles. Still a lot of volatility incoming. We still have a downtrend that we're not going to be able to break out of easily, but I'm still holding, but I am considering scaling out over the next 24 to 48 hours on some of these plays, just because we've kind of had a nice little move, and I want to be able to lock in some profits because I do think this week is just going to be more turbulent, and then as we get closer and closer to April 2nd. And then I'll be streaming tomorrow around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock until about midday. And it's not going to be so much of me talking as me just kind of working, having one of my other charts set up like this with my day trading setup. And then having it like this, my screen more like this. This is not the right time frames for this type of stuff, but have it all here, kind of looking at stuff and kind of bouncing around news and different articles and stuff like that, and just kind of reading over stuff. You guys will see me probably use ChatGPT for all my easy work, to be honest, so you guys can see how I'm doing that type of stuff. But